Welcome back to another live stream here on Sports Vibes TV. I'm your host, Keith, and I'm joined by our NBA analyst, Stephen Fox. Foxy, how's everything with you?
Everything is good, and it's a lot better now that we got some good news a few minutes ago. So salute to you, salute to the chat, salute to the SV Nation. Can't wait to talk about our New York Knicks.
Yep, there's a lot of news flying around, a lot of drama going around in the NBA right now. But
Oh,
luckily, the Knicks, it seems like we are getting our target. It's been reported by Shams that we are actually going to get Jalen Brunson. And with the amount of moves that the New York Knicks did in order to free up the cap space, it's good that we were able to get our guy. I'm excited to see what the Knicks are going to do in addition to this move. So, Foxy, how did you feel when you first saw it?
I'm really happy, and I'm really happy about that 110 number. Yesterday's show, we talked about possibly 126 and everything. That's a whole lot better, and also, like you just said, it gives us a little more leverage, maybe to add another piece to this team. So I think he's going to be a stabilizing force. I'm really, really happy that we finally have a professional point guard on this team.
Yep, we are adding a professional point guard. That's something the Knicks have been starving for years. The last time we had somebody that you felt comfortable with heading into a game at point guard was probably who, Jason Kidd, and even that was Jason Kidd when he was well over the hill. So now that we have a guy like Jalen Brunson who does have some talent, he does some things out there on the court that you really like. We've mentioned in the stream yesterday, he's elite finishing around the rim. Another thing that really sticks out to me that I saw during the playoffs was Jalen Brunson and his footwork. That's something that I really jumped off the screen to me when I was watching him out there. So to see what he'll be able to do if we're able to bring back a Mitchell Robinson and put him in a position where he's not asked to do too much, but he's also in a position to help relieve some of the pressure that we see on guys like RJ Barrett and a Julius Randle if he'll still be here.
Yeah, and not only what I'm also excited about is closing. The problems this team had with closing games last year. This is a different guy, and hopefully, maybe Obi won't get 12 minutes a game. He'll get a lot more. So if Randall's still our guy, he'll be a lot fresher. And so finally we got ourselves a point guard and somebody because of his usage and his style. I think is going to make the guys around him, RJ and Randall, and like you just said, Mitch. God willing, we sign him. We have a few more minutes to go. Make us a lot better. I know we're going to be a lot better, folks.
John Talento had a pretty interesting comment. He says the NBA is going to hit us with tampering watch because it's 5:35 right now. And this news has already been released by Shams. And, the Mavs were already upset seeing that the Knicks sent a contingency, not a contingency, but they sent a group of guys over to watch the Mavericks during their game in the playoffs. So it'll be interesting to see what comes of it. But if you look at the history of these tampering violations, at the most, it'll be a second round pick, you would assume.
Exactly. They have to get there. Either they have to really come down hard or just forget about it. You're trying to tell me that nobody's going to be talking to each other. Let's get real. So either be realistic of it or, but we saw with Chicago and a few other teams last year, hey, second round pick, it's worth it for us to get our foot in the door and be leading.
Yep, and you mentioned we talked about the contract yesterday. They haven't released the terms. Of course, everything is still, breaking news. We don't really know the exact details, but you can see it's probably going to be the two to the left, either ascending or descending. Now, yesterday we all said we preferred the descending model, but in the way the contracts are typically structured, you might see us ending up with the ascending model where we pay him 25 now, and then in the last year of the deal, it'll be right around 28 to 29 million dollars.
Yeah, hopefully Rick said to him, "Hey, do us a solid, and you got some good money. Let's do the descending, so we can put better players around you."
That's a fact. Just want to give a shout out to a couple people in chat. Thank you guys for tuning in. We've already got 74. I'm sure you guys are excited about the news. The Knicks now finally have a point guard, and it's a young point guard, someone that has the potential to grow. I think that's something you have to mention when you talk about a Jalen Brunson. He was over in Dallas where he was playing with another ball dominant guard in a Luka Doncic. So now he's going to come over to the Knicks where we we want somebody to take the ball out of Julius Randle's hands. And now that we have a competent point guard, I think as fans we can now see an avenue for that to happen. So I'm excited to see how the team looks out there on the court.
Absolutely. And like you said, shout out. I see my brother from the Bronx, Julian Blum. Hope all is well with you and the family. Like you just said, John Talento, Knicks Nation legend. Everybody knows John. Um, Alex Scolavino, Lex the Destroyer, one of the great mods in history.
Yep.
So UBG, King Ja, so many, Canal Ban Lawyer, Joey Mitriani. So thanks, as always, for your support. Will Salkin, another one of our, Connor Toolin. We're so blessed to have all you guys and gals. I'm sure Lady G, Geraldine MacGyver will be joining us soon.
Salute to Lady G.
Yeah.
Let's see. Canal, you mentioned make investment. He says we'll be at least a playing team. This is definitely going to be a better team from last season, and I think what we are seeing with the moves the Knicks made to bring in Jalen Brunson is now the young guys have a little bit more area or a little bit more of an opportunity to play. We got rid of an Alec Burks who was kind of blocking guys like an Emmanuel quickly. We got rid of a Nerlens Noel who, if healthy, you would have expected him to take some minutes from both Mitchell Robinson if we re-sign him and Jericho Sims. So we got rid of those two guys. It'll be interesting to see what we do with Evan Fournier. I'm an advocate for keeping Evan. I think if we reduce his role a little bit, move him back towards the bench and allow him to cook right against opponents that aren't going to be the cream of the crop, he might be not be able to be attacked on defense as much with lesser players out there on the court. So me personally, I think that's what we should do with the Evan Fournier.
Especially after losing Burks. Yeah. We need shooters, man. This is a league of 3-point shooters. He's an elite 3-point shooter. And like you said, let him put him on the second team. Let's give Cam a shot on the first team. And Evan's going to light it up from 3. And hopefully he just won't get lit up on defense as much going against second team guys.
Yeah, because we all know Evan Fournier, he's now the record holder for most made threes in a season for the New York Knicks. So we know he's a sharpshooter. So we have a defined role that we can put him in. That's one positive I liked about Evan Fournier. We know what he can do. He's shown the ability to do it. Now we just have to put him in a position to succeed. So now if we're able to demote him, he'll still be able to stagger some minutes with Jalen Brunson. So Jalen Brunson will be able to find him for some nice 3-pointers as well. So that's something that I'm looking forward to. If we look, though, I want to put up on screen just how the roster or the organizational depth chart looks. And just we want to talk about what the on-court product is going to look like this upcoming season. So let me just put it up on screen real quick. Right, give me the Jeopardy music. So look, as you can see, we have at start. This is what we would prefer. There's no guarantee Cam is going to get that starting position at the 3, but I think that would be the ideal situation, especially with the press release that they sent out. They don't do any media sessions, but they do send out press releases, and they said they want to go toward developing some of these younger guys. So I think if we have Cam elevated into the starting lineup, that would kind of hold true to what they were trying to say. But you can see the starters are going to be Jalen, RJ, Cam, Randall, and Mitch. Now with Mitch still up in the air, we haven't heard any news from any sources regarding his contract situation, but hopefully he is going to be retained. And then now you see the second team, you've got Quick, Grimes, Fournier, Obi, and Sims. And this really puts us in a difficult situation with a D Rose, because now what are we going to do with him? He's a favorite of Tibbs, and I would expect Tibbs would probably argue to have him as the backup point guard. So Foxy, what are you expecting for this team next season when it comes to this rotation?
Like you said, I'm looking for that first team to be, like you said, Jalen, RJ, Cam, Randall, and Mitch. And Jalen is a veteran. So that's the veteran presence that we want to help the young kids like an IQ. But D Rose, I think, has to be on the move. I think, if you look at it, you have Jalen, you have IQ, you have D Rose, you have Deuce, you have Keels. You have a lot of people there, that quote unquote are the playmaker type of players on this team, that it's a log jam. We gotta do, and we also, he's not here now, but we also have Rokas stashed away. So I think it would be prime time for us to move a D Rose. I
The
wouldn't mind
question,
moving. I wouldn't mind
go ahead.
moving a D Rose for a Bobby Portis around their salaries.
And bring, yeah, I know you're a fan of Bobby Portis. He'll bring that stretch five aspect to the team. But there's reports we are looking at another player that can kind of do a similar thing. But we'll talk about that a little bit later on in the show. And when you look at the organizational depth chart that we put together, I like Jalen Brunson for what he can potentially do with a Mitchell Robinson. The fact that he can unlock Mitch, I've been saying it here time and time again on the channel that we really need a point guard that can put Mitchell Robinson in a position to score. And I think if we have Jalen Brunson and Mitchell Robinson operate in the pick and rolls, we can feature Mitch a little bit more. And George, he also tweeted out, or he retweeted a tweet, I believe it was from Tom Piccolo, showing Mitchell Robinson actually hitting 2 jump shots in the NBA, and they were all cash, nothing but net swish. So if Mitch can be given that green light to not necessarily step all the way out and shoot 3-pointers, just shoot the nice little mid-range. And if we can have a nice 2-man game that can be built between a Jalen Brunson and a Mitchell Robinson, I think that would be great. Because last season, the only guy I thought that really looked for Mitch was an RJ. And if we can bring somebody else in that can do, that same thing that RJ was able to do with Mitch, build some chemistry in the pick and roll and look for him, I think we can maximize whatever contract we're going to go out there and give Mitchell Robinson this offseason.
Yeah, and the funny thing is, Mitch shot 49% from the foul line last year. That we didn't make us happy. But if Mitch shot 49% on pick and pops from the foul line, because we'd all be ecstatic.
Yep.
But also, you know what? Like we talked about, I don't mind them missing. It keeps them honest. That it changes everything. They know he's going to take a shot.
That's a fact. That's a fact. And if you look also, another thing that Brunson can bring to this team is the fact that he's shown the ability to play off ball. I mentioned at the beginning of the show, he was playing off ball of Luka Doncic, and he was able to thrive, especially in the postseason where he was able to up his game. If, we want this team to continue to feature an RJ Barrett. So with RJ Barrett as being featured offensively, Jalen Brunson has shown us that he can continue to cook off ball. And we showed the stat yesterday. He's great at shooting the corner three. So RJ has shown the ability to find guys in the corner for threes, and that would definitely help with the spacing and getting RJ some lanes and avenues to get into the paint and finish. So I think there are a lot of positives that come to this Jalen Brunson signing, and it gives a little bit of hope for Knicks fans as to what he can become if he's given the opportunity to take over.
Yeah, and I think another strange thing, and we've all talked about it, you, me, and the SV Nation, is you have to be a special player to play in New York with the media, the fans, etc. He's a Villanova tough boy. I don't think it's going to impact him whatsoever. He is a dog. So I love that part about it. Sometimes you sign somebody and you're like, I love him, but how is he going to handle? I have no issue that Jalen's going to have an issue with New York, the meter, and everything. I think it's just going to roll off his back. Like we said, he's going to be a professional, and like I said, I love Villanova boys, so I think he's going to be fine, and which is great, man. That's a great thing to have somebody who's not impacted, and we saw whether Randall and a few other players that can be impacted by the fans.
Yeah, it's going to be an issue too, I think, especially if he comes here initially and takes some time to get acclimated to the team, because, I think Brunson can come in and contribute and help some of the guys on the roster, but I still have a beef with the contract price. So if he's able to come and play well to start, that would be ideal. But if he is going to struggle initially, he's going to have that mindset where he can withstand some of the I guess pushback from the media if he does struggle initially. So I think he's the type of guy that can power through, and hopefully he's able to, hit the ground running and show us what he can do to start.
Yeah, and from his father and others, just don't look at social media, man. Season starts, just be focused. Don't care about that stuff. Just play ball. Just get your sync together, chemistry together with your players. Hang out, in the gym as gym rats and go from there. But I think this is the most positive thing that we've seen in the Knick fandom for the Knick fandom in a long time. Us getting a player that, everyone's like, I don't think he's going to move the meter. I don't think he's going to move the meter. And we talked about yesterday, folks, when you're only one of the 6 players that averaged over 15 points, over 4 assists, over 1 3-pointer while shooting over 50% from the field, and join Jokic, Giannis, Drew Holiday, KD, and LeBron. Those are the other 5. You are moving the needle. So sometimes, he may not be sexy and doesn't have, tomahawk jams, but we watch him in the playoffs and stuff. His hezzy, one of the things we didn't say, he has a mean dribble, man. He has great handles. So he gets separation, and he is, as we said, we were 30th in 2-point shots last year, folks. He's going to change it. He's a mid-range assassin.
Yeah, let me just put on screen the slide with the shooting accuracy, as you say, mid-range assassin.
And orange is fantastic, folks. So when you see that dark orange or light orange, that means you are elite. So that's 93 percentile, 91 percentile, so this is, so it even showed, like Keith mentioned before, he's in the 90th percentile from corner 3, shooting 47%. So 32% from non-corner. Hey, I could see that coming up. So, and we also talked about Toronto extending Fred VanVleet. Van Vliet averages 40% the last few years field goal percentage. Jalen Brunson averages 50%. So, and they shoot the same from 3. So I think Brunson's a better player than Fred VanVleet. Everybody sees him and loves him, but hey, they basically signed the same contract for $110 million.
Yeah, I was a little bit against the Fred VanVleet money as well. Maybe I'm just cheap.
But the funniest thing, I think even with this contract, I think he's like the 14th or 15th highest paid point guard in the league.
Yep, it would be 14 if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm an old timer, so I'm still thinking pizza costs $1 a slice. The price has gone up.
Inflation is a hell of a thing, man. I went to the vending machine, everything's up a quarter. I'm like, what's going on here?
I know. I saw a commercial for Reese's Pieces with potato chips, and I went, "Ooh, that sounds good." And I went to CVS and I saw it was $2.50. I went, "Hell with that shit! I'll make it myself."
Yeah, man, prices are going through the roof, especially here in the NBA, and we're seeing it with that Jalen Brunson contract. But like we've said, there are things that he can do out there on the court that are going to help make this team better. I'm just wondering, is this going to be the only move, or are there other moves to come? Because I feel like there's got to be other moves brewing.
Moves
with the way. Yeah, I think there's. Do you have anything on your mind as to what we could potentially be doing?
Well, we've talked about that. If you go back to the roster slide, if you can, we just don't have length. One of the things we'll talk about when we get to the summer league is Farron Hunt. I'll just say right now he's 6'8" with a little over 7'1" wingspan, and one of the most beautiful things about him is that a couple of years ago, we were talking about Jalen Green on Houston being an athletic freak. Number 2 and 3 in that draft, folks, was Farron Hunt. He is unbelievably athletic. So he's very raw on offense. I hope he worked on his shooting mechanics, and we'll see that in the summer league. But more than anything, as we see, is that we got a hell of a lot of point guards or combo guards, but we definitely need some length. And we'll touch on that, potential centers coming here. But I'd love, one of the players I was thinking about is Jabari Smith and Terry Eason were drafted this year by Houston. They drafted a kid last year named Usman Garuba, who's a beast on defense, 6'8", 7'2" wingspan, pretty much just a defensive specialist, not much of an offensive game. But if we can get him at a good price, I'd love us to add a little more length on this team, especially on the defensive front. Once you get past Cam, there's really nobody else. So that's why, us having for the starters Jalen, RJ, Cam. I love RJ at the 2. Let Cam go against the Tatums, the KDs, and everybody else in the league. Let RJ, beast on undersized shooting guards.
Yeah, you and me both. I prefer RJ at the 2. Feel like that's his more natural position. And it's confusing why Cam has continued to be out, speculated about in terms of where he'll end up next season, because you hit the nail on the head. He's the only real big wing we have on this team, and he's a big wing with a lot of potential offensively and defensively. He has all the tools to be a lockdown defender. So the fact that we're continuing to shop him, we're not in the front office. I don't have anybody in there that can tell me what they're really doing. But the reports from people that are, that you are looking at credible sources are saying that we're continuing to field calls for Cam Reddish. So hopefully nothing comes of it. Hopefully Cam isn't included in that next big deal that we all think is coming, because I think Cam really has not been given the opportunity to show what he can do. And next season, we're starting to see some pieces being put on this roster that can kind of help him out a little bit in those regards.
Yeah, and hopefully, he gets a chip on his shoulder that he wants to play mean. This is a contract year. He has everything. There's everything for him to have the motivation to play as hard and as play the best game of his life, because this is money now. He's playing for the bag.
Yep, playing for that money, and this is life-changing money too. So I hope he's able to step up and earn it. Honestly, let's see what we got going on in chat. Reality Check says, I just hit the like button. Everyone, please follow. Let's go. Appreciate you. Thank you for tuning in. Yankees Morning Brew. Our guy Hex says, hit those like buttons.
Yo, heck.
Like Adele Chapman, salute to the panel. Keith and Fox, thank you for tuning in, Adele. Appreciate the support. Our guy Canal says, salute. King John 1985 says the Bucks want D Rose. What would we get in? Oh, you mentioned it. You said for
Bobby Portis. Yeah. Do a sign and trade, those salaries and stuff like that.
It could happen, but I saw reports that the Warriors are trying to get Bobby Portis. It's like the rich get richer. What would they sign him for, that mid-level exception? That's all they.
Yeah, I know. Really they probably give up Otto Porter and then trade or let him walk. He's a free agent. And then probably with Bobby Porter, and Otto Porter is a Tibbs type of player. I don't know if he ever realized his potential, but he's a solid defensive player. And as we just talked about, he's 6'8" with that 7-something wingspan that you definitely need on the wings today. Today you need a 6'8" wing. We have a lot of 6'5", 6'7" guys with 6'9", 6'10". It's not the same.
That's a fact. Evan Best says, is Andre Drummond still available? Yes, he is available, and we'll be discussing him a little bit later on in the show, because there are some reports that are linking him to the Knicks, and we'll get to that a little bit later. Yankees Morning Brew. Heck is killing me with the Yankees. Gotta trade Randall, send him to the Clippers. You think Randall to the Clippers is a nice destination?
No, I don't think there's a chance that he'd be sent to the Clippers with the players on that team, but hopefully he could be sent somewhere. I don't know where, but let's see. That would be like a cherry on top of the cake that we got a Brunson and got rid of Randall, because the biggest fear I think for us in the SV Nation is Randall being a saboteur where Jalen couldn't bring his full game to unleash for RJ and all that other things, because Randall being Randall. So if we take him out of there, bring Obi up into that power forward position, starting lineup, I think they'll have a whole different feel, this team.
The thing is, I struggle to find a realistic trade partner for a Julius Randle.
I know.
The Kings were taken off the board. He's not an option there. The Portland Trailblazers, they decided to go with Jeremy Grant, so he's not an option there. I mean, maybe the Utah Jazz, they just traded Royce O'Neal.
They did.
What would we want in return from the Jazz outside of Donovan Mitchell? And I don't know if the Jazz do a deal for Mitch that's centered around a Julius Randle. So
I wouldn't want Rudy Gobert either for Randle with that salary.
I'm hearing the Hawks are trying to get Gobert. They're trying to pair Gobert with DeJounte Murray and Trae Young.
Yeah, but then Clint Capella, and you got the kid that from USC from a couple of years ago that
Cool. Yeah, yep. I hope I feel like I butchered it, but I tried.
Yeah, well, we would have butchered it together. So in unity, there's power. We're equal opportunity butchers. So so they got a lot of guys there, and it looks like Gallinaro was traded, but he's going to get waived. So he'll be going. Hey, 1 second on Yankees Morning Brew, my friend Heck. Hey, everybody, I'm an old hippie. Put out my guy Heck has been dealing with some back issues this past year, so put out some good thoughts from my guy that we could heal that back from some real powerful thoughts. Put our good thoughts for him. He's such a wonderful guy. And again, if you haven't done Nights of Degen every morning at 11 a.m. For Yanks, please tune in. Heck does a great job, and if you love the Yankees, then Heck's your guy.
Facts. And he's speaking my language over here too. Yankees and Mets Subway Series. I'm here for it. We got to get our payback. Canal says he likes Mo Bamba as a backup big. I like Bamba as a backup big. I know some people have even tossed it out there that Bamba could be a replacement for a Mitchell Robinson. I mean, me personally, I don't think I would go that far. I would still prefer Mitch. I think what he can do defensively and as an offensive rebounder kind of outweighs some of the versatility you get from Mo Bamba offensively. But I think, if you look into the Knicks versus Twitter account, you'll see the clips of him being able to knock down jump shots in game. So if he can just be a little bit more confident, if the coaching staff can be a little bit more confident, maybe we see a more evolved version of a Mitchell Robinson, especially if you're paying him a lot more money. And remember, we were only paying him just about $1 million, maybe $2 million. And now if they're investing a lot more money in a Mitchell Robinson, they're going to want more they're going to want a larger return. So I would stick with Mitch as the starter, but Mo Bamba I would entertain as a backup.
Me too. Absolutely, me too. He's besides being stretch five, that ability to block shots, and and also coming off the bench, maybe it's not as much wear and tear on him because of some injury problems that limit his minutes and just optimize him. So, hey, over the wire, Tom Piccolo just verified that Jalen is now the 14th highest paid point guard in the league. And folks, when you hear statistics like that, that's value. That's value. So he's a really good, we just said that there's only 5 other players in the league besides him that achieved 15 plus points, 4 plus assists, and, over 1 3-pointer a game. So I think we got ourselves a fair, equitable deal here.
Yeah, so you say, Foxy. It's decent enough. I would live a lot. It would be a lot easier for me to digest if we were able to move off of a Julius Randle and get that contract out of here.
Oh, yeah.
Getting rid of that contract and still having, and having that Jalen Brunson $110 million contract on the books, I can live with it, especially thinking, we have to extend the contract extension to RJ Barrett soon. So that's going to hit the books. So once you start doing all that math, I get a little bit, worrisome. But if he's able to go out there and produce to the level that's worthy of $27 million a year or whatever the average annual value breaks down to, then, I'll be extremely happy. If he's the 14th if he's anywhere between that top 10, not top 10, but 10 to 15 range as starting point guard, you'll live with it. That's great compared to what we've been dealing with as Knicks fans.
Hey, I just had an idea. Let's trade Randall for KD.
Hey, that's the next one on the wire. That's crazy, man. They really set fire to that franchise. I thank God every day we didn't sign up for that.
And it all started with Kyrie, man. That guy has the best handles I've ever seen. A splendid player, but a cancer, an absolute cancer everywhere he goes, man.
Yeah, to me, makes absolutely no sense why the Nets would sign up for this type of prison sentence. That's all you can say it is. Honestly, they held them hostage. They decided not to break down to their terms. And now they're going to have to reset the entire franchise and hope that they get enough in return that they'll be a legitimate franchise moving forward, because they don't have any picks.
Houston owns the next 5 years. Exactly. Their picks for the next 5 years, man.
Ridiculous. So how are you going to even rebuild without those picks? So it sucks right now to be a Nets fan.
Unless there's we'll go into it when you want, but there's some things that they can turn around that team pretty fast.
You think so?
Hell yeah. He said he wants to go to Phoenix and wants to go to Miami. That's his preferred locations. But why don't you take a team like New Orleans? Zion coming to here, or you put KD with Ingram and the CJ. Yeah, that's a serious team. You bring over guys like Trey Murphy, and a hell of a lot of draft picks. So now they recoup their draft picks. that they lost, getting Harden and a few other guys, get all these young studs and go from there.
I mean, I understand KD, he does have the additional 4 years of control, but my thing is, if I'm not a team on that list, do I go ahead and make the risk to go trade for KD? I know KD is one of the best players in the league, but what if you go and make that decision? What if you're a New Orleans Pelicans owner or the GM? You decide to make that trade for KD, and he really doesn't want to be in New Orleans, and then now he holds you at gunpoint to ship him somewhere else. So that's why I think if KD gets what he wants, and the Nets only consider the teams that he has provided them, then they might not get the best deal in return. So, and even if they do make those trades for the picks, those are going to be late round picks because whoever KD pairs up with, you would expect them to be title contenders and title chasers.
Exactly.
So even at that point, you're not really going to be able to get any elite talent unless you have a savant in the draft.
Power that the players wield today is crazy.
That's a fact. Let's see what else we got going on here. I think somebody mentioned Bridges. You got to stay far away from Miles Bridges. He got caught sipping lean on Instagram. Now he's got a DV case. No, you got to stay away from him. He's crazy.
Yeah.
A contract year, he's doing all this nonsense. Him and Montrezl Harrell both getting into legal troubles when they're looking for new work.
Yeah, I don't know how that happens, whether agents or whatever, where you're like, I'm going to lock you in a room until this stuff's all over. You can't be doing this stuff. He's literally impacted by millions, getting arrested, especially for the charge that he has in today's culture. That's serious.
Facts. Seems like everybody agrees. Stay away. D Nice says KD has a no trade clause, I believe. See, and if he does have a no trade clause, even more leverage towards him. So it'll be interesting to see what exactly the Knicks are able to, or not the Knicks, the Nets are able to recoup from a KD trade. And even at that point, what are you going to do with Kyrie after?
Hey, just came in. Bobby Portis just signed a 4-year, $49 million trade, a deal with Milwaukee, so he's off. So it's no longer a thing. So he's going back. No longer an option. So it's going to be coming in fast and furious, folks. So as it comes in, we'll let you know.
Yep. Thank you, Foxy, for keeping an eye out. So we do have some other options for, one option could be a potential stretch five. Andre Drummond is just a backup big. It's being reported that the Knicks, this is from SNY, Ian Bagley, he's saying among players that the Knicks could be looking at a backup five, it's going to be Isaiah Hartenstein and Andre Drummond per sources. Bleacher Report first noted Hartenstein on the Knicks' radar. The Knicks will be aggressive in their pursuit of Hartenstein per SNY sources. So he could be a backup or he could be a Mitchell Robinson replacement. So how would you feel about us going after, Hartenstein and potentially Andre Drummond?
Drummond is like a 1980s center to me. Obviously he's an elite rebounder and a good, but defensively in other areas, he's just an old-fashioned center, an old five. I just don't know how he plays today, especially if a guy he's facing is on the perimeter and stuff like that, gets blown past. And Hartenstein, if you really look, go through the numbers and everything, everybody's like, oh, he's a stretch five. He took a half a 3-point, he shot 47% last year from three. Folks, check out how many threes he took, and don't count when you take that many threes, or you don't take as many threes. So does he have an opportunity? Is he okay? Yeah. But he's not, he's a second string guy. What's going on?
Alert. It's coming over the wire that we actually signed Isaiah Hartenstein to a 2-year, $16 million deal. So he will now be a Knick. He's joining Jalen Brunson as part of this year's free agency class.
He's athletic. He is athletic. He's from Germany. He is athletic. He comes from a good family. His father and his mom, actually, but his father was not only a player, but a coach. So again, I love that pedigree that he grew up. He understands the game. And like you just said, $8 million a year. Hey, I could live with that in today's game. 7 foot. He is kind of athletic. And, about 93% of his shots are from 3 feet. And that's a big guy, so if he can get a little pick and pop, like we said, or hit a couple of threes. Hey, that's not bad. He's not much of a shot blocker or a rim protector. So that's one thing for sure. So we'll, but hey, all right. So now we have, God willing, that comes over the wire that we sign Mitch. But if we have Mitch, Hartenstein, and Sims, that's a nice solid 5 position for us.
Yeah, one thing I like about Hartenstein is his passing ability. It'll be
Mm-hmm.
interesting to see how creative we can be with him out there. He's a gifted passer. He's pretty mobile for a big man.
He
Also, he
is.
can dribble. He has some handle, and we saw how excited we were when we saw Mitch take a couple people off the dribble. So that's one thing I'll be excited to see. How are we going to use him on offense? Like you said, defensively, he's not going to be the same rim protector as a Mitchell Robinson, but it's nice to have different players that can fill different roles at the same position. So with Hartenstein, he doesn't shoot a lot of threes, but he's shown the ability to knock them down when he takes them. And even though he doesn't shoot a lot, I think the scouting report is going to show that he can knock them down, and it'll still make defenders honest, much more than we've seen with the centers that we have on the roster now. So with you put all that together, and you see that we're bringing him as hopefully a backup, because we're going to keep Mitch, and we're paying him less than we were paying Nerlens Noel, who we viewed as the backup center. I think Nerlens was making around 10, close to 11 mil, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
So now we're saving a little bit of money by bringing in Hartenstein. He's still a young player. He has room to grow as well. So I'm starting to like some of these smaller moves when you look at it all together. But I still think there should be another big move in addition, with bringing in Jalen Brunson and signing Hartenstein.
Me too. So that I'm glad. I'm glad that they're making moves like that. And like you said, nice IQ. He's going to be able to start the training camp, so he'll be on board with everyone. So yeah, hey, nice.
Okay, I'm going to post in chat, quick poll. Just want to get everybody's feelings on the signing.
Think of him as a better Luke Cornett.
Yeah, I guess. How do you feel about? I know his last name is going to kill me when it comes to spelling. I got to make sure I get it right there on screen, right? Hartenstein. Is it Steen or Stein?
Stein.
Stein? All right, thank you.
If he's Jewish, he's Stein, and if he's German, he's if he's Jewish, he's Steen, and if he's German, he's Stein.
so Stein, I guess, right? You said he's German?
Yeah, he's Stein.
Okay.
Like Frankenstein.
All right. Good signing, bad signing.
Just shout out while you're doing that to Even Best, hope all is well. C. Marshall, Bayside Jr., Silvery Gray.
Yeah, salute to Evan Best. He's the one that originally asked about Drummond. It looks like Drummond is off the table now.
Yep.
We've got our backup big. How do you feel about Sims now? This means even less minutes for Jericho Sims. I was pretty excited to see what he was going to do heading into next season.
Yeah, I look at him as he's really 6'9", folks, so I could see him playing a 4. He has great, feet. So from him, a versatility around the, he's not like a Drummond at all. As we know, he's very athletic. So I could see him playing around both those places. And unfortunately, if we do re-sign Mitch, we're realistic to know that Mitch is not going to play 82 games. So you never know, and especially small ball, throw Sims in there. So yeah, I think I'm looking forward to seeing him in the summer league. But yeah, I think there's a place for him on this team.
Yeah, you definitely need quality, especially when you're talking about Mitchell Robinson and some of his injury concerns. So bringing in Hartenstein and still having Jericho Sims on the roster to contribute, I think that's a good center group heading into next season.
Mm-hmm. I don't know why, but Tommy Beer, shout out to our friend, just said Isaiah Hartenstein is going to be a fan favorite in the Garden next season. So that's nice to hear.
Yep, that's definitely good. We've got a bunch of extensions being announced. Nikola Jokic, he's agreed to a 5-year, $264 million Supermax contract extension with the Denver Nuggets, the richest deal in NBA history, sources tell The Athletic. 5th season, he will be a player option at $60 million. At that point, why is it even an option? Who's opting out of $60 million? How big of a raise?
What do you mean? Harden just opted out at what, $47 million?
Yeah, but he's going to sign for less. He's bugging.
And then you see Beal opted out of 37 million. It's
Yeah,
like
excuse me. He opted out to re-up. I don't
no.
know. 60 mil. I'm perfectly fine with. I'm fine with 6. I'm not opted out. I'm opted in.
I'm fine with $6, but so it's like
Yeah,
I don't think Jokic is going to be complaining about inflation much.
yeah, right. 60 mil. God bless him. Also,
Yeah,
Devin Booker. They're finalizing a 4-year Supermax extension with the Phoenix Suns. That's going to be 4 years, $214 million. And he's going to sign that as soon as next week. He's also going to be the cover athlete for 2K23. So
wow.
shout out to Devin Booker.
I don't know if that's good or if that's a curse, but no, I think that's the NFL.
Well, there's some curses when it comes to 2K as well.
Uh,
Let's see. Deandre Jordan, he's heading to the Denver Nuggets. Let's
yeah,
see what else
that's
we have going on.
yeah. I don't think anybody cares about that. He's been washed for a few years now, man.
Facts. Victor Oladipo, he's staying with the Miami Heat, signing a 1-year, $11 million deal. I know some people were interested in kicking the tires on a Victor Oladipo signing, especially if he was going to sign for a deal in this $10-11 million range.
Yeah, I don't mean anything, but I think he's an injury waiting to happen. You could see, he doesn't. He's a fragment of the player that we saw. Whether right out of Indiana and when he was in his prime, he looks so stiff now. And there's a couple of times you saw him, he looked good, but he's not the same player. And Joe Ingles just signed a deal to go to Milwaukee, a 1-year deal, so he'll be playing with Milwaukee this year.
Yep. Also, another deal, PJ Tucker, he's finalizing a 3-year, $33.2 million deal with the 76ers. So now they're turning the 76ers into the mini Rockets.
Yeah, exactly. And old too. That's an old team now.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes. I mean, we have to deal with them in the division, but I don't think they'll be at the top of the hill for that long, especially when you look at some of those guys' age.
Yeah, and this just came over the wire from Ian Begley. League sources confirms Knicks and Isaiah Hartenstein are in agreement on a 2-year deal. Barring something unforeseen, Hartenstein will back up Mitch Robinson, who's been expected to re-sign with the Knicks.
Okay, I can live with that.
Yeah.
I can live with that. So the moves this offseason, sign Jalen Brunson, 4 years, 110. Sign Hartenstein, 2 years, what was it, 16, we said?
Exactly.
And then bring back Mitch at an undisclosed figure.
Yeah. Hopefully around 4-year, 48 million. Like we said, that 12 million Robert Williams Time Lord range.
See, but the thing is, if we are going to sign him in that range, why didn't we do it before he just hit free agency? Are they waiting to get these other moves in first and then sign Mitch to get over the cap? That could be what they're trying to do, just to manipulate things.
Like I said to you, I have no feel for this front office, so I'm with you. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm going to give a salute to Sincere the Genius. He's saying, salute, fellas. Thank you for tuning in. There's a lot going on with the NBA right now. Also, I believe since he let us know what the new cap is going to be. Shams is also reporting it. He says the NBA has set salary cap for 2022-2023 at $123 million. And the salary tax is going to be, it's going to be $150 million.
Exactly.
Oh,
Just real quick, folks. We have 110 people in the chat. We have 67 people, 67 likes. Do us a solid. Hit that like button. We love to be over that 100 metric. Please hit that subscribe. If you're already subscribed, thank you so much. Please tell a friend. If you haven't, hit that subscribe. Hit that all reminder bell so you don't miss out on any of the wonderful content from Sports Vibe TV. Please share the link on your favorite social media platforms. And as always, shout out to the best mods on the planet, Lex the Destroyer. And I think Lex is the only mod in right now. John Talento, I think I saw him earlier, who's wonderful. So thanks so much, folks. And also, last but not least, we're just a blink away from 6,000 subscribers. Congratulations, Keys. So, folks, let us, please help us get us over that. We love bringing you the content, but that's so motivating, hitting these metrics.
Facts. Also, I see he says Anthony Simons is getting $100 million from the Blazers.
Yeah.
Let's see if Shams reported that. Got to keep hitting refresh. I'm not seeing that one. When did that one get reported? Earlier today?
I don't know. I just saw it in the chat that caught my eye. And contrary to my comment right here, I like we're keeping it. It's coming in fast and furious, folks. Fun fact about the Knicks' latest addition, Isaiah Hartenstein. This is from Tom Piccolo. Shout out. He's among the best rim protectors in the league. Last year, 57 players defended at least 250 shots at the rim. Hartenstein ranked first in defensive field goal percentage, just allowing 47.5% at the rim, which is better than Rudy Gobert, Jared Jackson, etc. So you know what? Live and learn. That's a great signing. So we know that, like you said, he has nice passing, he has a nice touch around the rim. So bringing that around him, that's and like you said, he's very athletic. He is very mobile. So that is, so he's ahead of Rudy, Jared Jackson, Jared Allen, Giannis, all of these players. So that's really impressive.
Yeah, Nick Yak is saying Mitch goes last in case someone pops out. We can get him and still go over the cap with Mitch. So that would make sense in terms of cap construction. Let's see. So another one. Brahim says he sounds better than Mitch. I would say he's more versatile than Mitch. And the funny part is Mitchell Robinson was actually responding to a post on Instagram where somebody was talking about Hartenstein potentially being better than him. So that'll be interesting. All right. Evan Best says Sims minutes. I'm like, yeah, we're not going to see too much of Jericho Sims.
Folks, he was a number 58 pick, and that's what happens. The number 58 picks in the draft. That he's that dreaded tweener. Hartenstein's a real 5. He's 7 foot 7.2 wingspan. He's 6'9" Sims. So he's okay for small ball 5s, but is he a little too slow for the 4 and a little too small for the 5? And that was the reason why he was picked number 58. So, hey, hopefully he's a dog. He's put a lot of time in working out with the guys this year. I know he worked out a lot with Randall. So let's see what he brings to Summer League.
Also, Hartenstein's young. He's only 24. So to reduce Jericho Sims minutes for somebody that is a young center that gives you a different skill set than Mitchell Robinson and has potential to get better as well, I'd live with that. It's not like we're cutting Jericho Sims' minutes to play a guy like Nerlens Noel, who has already reached his highest potential, has reached his ceiling, and really is not going to give you anything too much different from Mitchell Robinson or a Jericho Sims at that. They're both, going to give you some sort of rim protection and not too much offensively outside of 10 to 25 feet. So now with Hartenstein, he's going to give you a little bit more on offense. He's going to be able to give you better spacing. And like you said, he'll also give you some rim protection as well. And per the numbers, he'll give you some elite rim protection.
Yeah, and like you brought up a great point is in passing. I like to see him in the pinch post passing.
Yeah. Especially coming into the draft, I was looking at his draft profile. Those are some of the things they really liked, how he was able to pass. He's got some decent quickness too with his first step, comparing him to other big men. So he does have some talent. I know a lot of other teams were interested in him from what I was looking up. So it's just another addition that's a young player, kind of fits in with this core, with this nucleus, and gives you something to be excited about next season.
Absolutely.
Also, let me close the poll on Hartenstein.
Just real quick shout out to another one of our great mods, of what we call our field producer. We surveyed 100 people.
Hey, salute.
We can't find, if we want to find out a starting lineup, there's only one place to go. We surveyed 100 people. He's so wonderful.
That's a fact. We appreciate all your support throughout the season. And, you're always there to let us know what the lineups were. All right, let's see what we got with the poll. So 83% say it's a good signing and 16% say it's a bad signing. So I want to hear from those that aren't too happy with the bad signing. Let me know why you think so in the chat. Is it because it's going to squeeze out Jericho Sims and you prefer us to invest a little bit more in Sims? Or do you think he's just not a good fit for this squad? Because remember, he is versatile offensively, but do we have a coach that's going to get the most out of what he can do for us out there on the court? That's another thing you have to kind of analyze or include in your review. Let's see. 19 comment NYC 84 says Keith and Foxy, we just spent our cap. Does that mean we are done? Maybe we're done with signings, but there could be some trades that come about.
Yeah, and again, we have D Rose on this team, so D Rose may be in a trade. You don't know, and who knows? We Keith and I both agree that we'd like to keep Evan to have a 3-point specialist on this team, but there's going to have to be some, and we don't know about Randall also, so some things could happen that we're not expecting.
Yeah, true. Because they did make some reports saying that the Knicks have entertained calls. So I'm hoping that gets done, because the way the team looks right now, I think if we move Randall, it gives us the opportunity to elevate Obi into that starting lineup, and we have a nice young core that can develop. And we're bringing in a point guard in Jalen Brunson that can feed all the guys. Imagine Jalen Brunson. Jalen Brunson is not a extremely fast point guard or uber athletic point guard, but I still think he'll be able to feast in the open court with guys like RJ, Cam, and Obi running the break. So that's something I would like to see. And with Julius Randle here, you expect him to still have a heavy workload. So something has to be done.
Absolutely.
All right, so let's just put the roster back on. We can swap Sims out for Hartenstein just to get a better understanding of what the roster is going to look like.
Nice.
Also, let me check the comments. Resurvey thinks we should start Grimes instead of Fournier. So have RJ at the 3 and then Grimes at the 2, I would assume.
Yeah, I can understand that, but again, I like RJ at that 2 and having that length at the 3 with Cam. And also, like we said, let's see if we can realize, from the Duke days and everything, let them have the chemistry. Sometimes a player, from a confidence level, being a starter, maybe that'll be the thing that he needs, Cam, for a confidence level. So I'd like to go all in. If it doesn't work out, all right, put him on the second team and stuff, but give him that opportunity from training camp to say you're a starter.
Yeah. So what do you think another move could be for this squad outside of trading the Julius Randle or trading the Cam? Do you see us moving some of the younger guys in a deal to bring in someone like a Quick, Grimes, maybe even an Obi? Because if we're not going to trade Julius Randle and we're not going to trade Cam, I think another move would have to involve one of those 3 guys.
I'm with you. I think that it would be, Obi, IQ, and Grimes are the ones that other teams would want. They're young, and they're a couple of years away from their prime, so there's more development for them to get better. So I don't know. That's a great question. I think we have a solid starting lineup, and I think we have a solid team the way it is now. And with Evan on that second team, I love having a Grimes there protecting him. You have IQ protecting him there too, for his defensive lapses. But yeah, like I said, I'd like the problem is there's really no 6'8" wings. That's why I wanted Tari Eason so bad. If you look around the league, folks, there's really no 6'8" wings in free agency. Even if you want to trade, they're really, really a commodity. So you better hang on to them or try to develop them as much as you can. We don't need any more 5s. So I think the only place for us to look at, a kid that I thought about is Cody Martin, Khalid Martin's brother. Both of them are restricted free agents, but they're both about 6'6" and change. Both of them have a little under 6'11" wingspans, but they're nasty. I like nasty on defense and stuff like that. So if we could add another Tibbs type of player that's a 3-and-D, can shoot 38%. Cody shoots 38%. His brother from Miami shot 41 this year. We can get another small forward, a 3-and-D, a wing. This is a wing league, so the bigger the better for us.
Foxy, we got a question for you. 19 comment NYC84 says, oh no, I'm sorry, wrong one. Where was it? From Bayside Junior. It says, if Cam came out in this draft, what number would he have going? You think he'd be top 5? Think he'd be top 10?
Absolutely. I think he'd be a top 5. I think he'd probably go before Keegan Murray and stuff like that. So great question. Yeah, like I said, he's prototype. And when we see him, we're like, he does things so effortlessly getting to the rim. Other but people can't get to the rim. He just glides in there, finishes with either hand. He can shoot. Like you said, that's over 7'1" wingspan. He's disruptive in passing lanes. So he has all the tools. It's just him realizing that potential and bringing it together. So hopefully, with his brother from Duke, RJ, and hopefully from a training camp and everything else, and he's healed from that shoulder injury, he could finally put it all together for this team. And hopefully, like we said, because it's a contract year, he has all the motivation to put in the time in the gym and with everything else to let it rip this year.
Yeah, I'm excited for Cam if he's here. I'm just praying we get to the start of the season because every trade rumor I hear, I just get nervous about Cam, and I don't want to be the team where we send him out and he becomes what I expect him to become and what some other people expect him to become, which is a legitimate starter. I don't think he'll be a superstar per se. I think he has qualities or traits that you would see a superstar possess when he's playing out there on the court. He just hasn't shown enough on the court for me to say I can guarantee that's what he'll become if given the opportunity. But I think he can be a solid starter out there on the wing for a multitude of NBA teams. So I want this team to give him that opportunity, especially when this team is going to be competitive. But I don't think this is going to be a championship contending team. So let's put Cam out there. We've brought in a point guard that can give him the ball in his spots and can also take some of the pressure off of him by standing in the corner if he needs to and create some more space for him to attack. I mean, we saw the game, what was it, against the Clippers, I believe, where we saw Cam doesn't need much space to get into their paint and attack. So with a guy like Jalen Brunson, RJ Barry, you expect his shooting to be better. Julius Randle, if he's still here, you expect him, not expect, but you would hope he would shoot a little closer to what he shot 2 years ago as opposed to last year. We should have some decent spacing out there on the court. So Cam should have a multitude of avenues to get into the paint and show us what he can do. So I'm just hoping we don't get a little bit too trigger happy and try to pull a move and ship him elsewhere, especially when you invested a first round pick in order to get him.
Actually,
it didn't cost us nothing to trade for him.
Yeah, but really, in reality, it was one first as a pick and one first round pick in Knox. So, but you brought up something yesterday that was great that gives us hope, and it was Andrew Wiggins. We saw him as a kid, and now we saw him shut down Tatum, seeing him, realizing all his potential. That some players, it takes a little while; they just don't do it out of the chute. That God willing, from a development standpoint and everything, that maybe we'll luck out and Cam, like Andrew Wiggins, is going to find himself in his fourth year.
Yep. Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed.
Yeah. And also what I'm fingers crossed more than anything, I think he has the talent. I just don't want him. I just want him to be healthy for a year. Like we said for Mitch last season, well, I'm saying the same thing for Cam. Get through, he's had ankle injuries, Achilles injuries, he had the shoulder injuries. So he's had different types of injuries. Let him get through a season healthy.
All right, let's see what else we have going on in chat.
Hey, just a real shout out to my friend Soulfinger. He's from the west side of San Diego. I call him San Diego Smooth. Hope all is well with you and your family. I know his daughter plays hoops, and he's just a really, really great guy. And he's good friends with my pal Ron Cleveland. Had a great conversation with him the other day. Ron says hi to everybody.
Salute to our guy, Ron. All right. Somebody's, let me see what it says. I saw a pretty interesting comment. Yeah, Bayside Jr. He says, if Cam accepted a 3D role, he would probably be starting right now for the Knicks, but he wants more. I mean, if you looked at the team last season, we had the opportunity to let Cam do a little bit more out there on the court. If Cam is out there on the court looking to the left and to the right of him, did we have the players on there that Cam should say, all right, let me just be a 3-and-D, or he might have felt he can do more out there on the court to help us win. He shared the court with guys like, Alec Burks and things like that. So if I'm Cam and if I'm on that team, I'm going to feel like I can do a little bit more as well. Now we're starting to bring in a point guard like a Jalen Brunson that can find him if he were to fill that 3-and-D role. So hopefully if that's what's asked of him, he'll be able to do it and be happy with that. But I would like to see Cam do a little bit more than just 3-and-D, especially when he has the tools to do so.
Yeah. And just from the rumor mill, my concern was when you look at RJ, you have to love him because of his attitude. He hired his own shooting coach. He puts in the work. He wants to be great. And sometimes the issue with Cam is I think he thinks he's already great. And that, that takes away from that. And, that you really want, that hard work. If you think you're great, maybe there's not you think there's no room for improvement. If you don't think you're great, the great ones never think they're great. You look at LeBron, they're working out, they're sleeping in, oxygen chambers, they're doing everything to get a competitive advantage. So, pardon me, hopefully Cam can just put it all together and somebody bring out the nasty in him. I think we have a super chat. Okay, cool.
Yep, we got a super chat from Hamish. Thank you for the super chat. We appreciate the support. He says, "Will JB, I assume Johnny Bryant, take on the challenge of making an NBA player of Cam?"
Oh, this is
Hopefully, he
not.
can.
I thought that was Jalen Brunson for a second.
Oh, actually, you're right. You're right. Hamish, you have to
I
let us
think
know.
it.
Or we
Yeah,
can
I think
discuss
it could
both.
go either way.
Yeah, we can discuss both. Will Johnny Bryant behind the scenes take Cam under the wing? Hopefully. I mean, you look at some of the guys that are pretty fond of him. What is it, Donovan Mitchell? Those are guys that have been creative off the dribble, and they give a lot of their success to some of the tutelage from Johnny Bryant. So hopefully he can help Cam out. And then Jalen Brunson, I think I mentioned it a little bit earlier with him being a legitimate point guard that can run a team. I think Cam can feel a little bit more comfortable knowing that if he's open, Brunson is going to find him. I think there were moments in games last year where Cam was a little bit frustrated, where he felt like he wasn't getting the ball, especially in spots where he was open and he could do some damage. So with a guy like Jalen Brunson, who is a legit point guard and can, put his guys in places to score and succeed, I think we'll see Cam be a little bit more open to deferring a little bit and just filling that role of a spot up shooter when needed.
Yep, exactly.
So, Hamish, I hope you answered the question, regardless of which JB you mentioned. Thank you again for the support.
Yeah, appreciate
All
your
right.
generosity.
So, talk a little bit more about Jalen Brunson. And we really didn't get to see too much of him without Luca. But, Foxy, you sent me this uh, screenshot that I want to put on screen, showing a little bit of what Jalen Brunson did without Luka Doncic.
So that's something, the one thing that we both love, or all of us, you, me, and the SV Nation, is the consistency from the field goal percentage. And the thing that we talked about, Van Vliet just signed, the same exact contract, and he's a career 40% field goal guy. Brunson's a 50%, and that's the gold standard, 50, 40, 90. So, he's in the 80 some odd percent from the foul line. So he's a guy, again, in closing time, that if he gets fouled, you're not worried about it. He's gonna knock those down. He's a Villanova tough guy. So the numbers that project out to a guy, not having a usage monster like Luca on your team, that I definitely look at a 20-point score, and those assists, and like you just said, with a Cam, with an RJ, with a Mitch, with a Randall. I think he could do that. I think he could do that in a couple of quarters in a good game, no less a game.
Facts. Also, I want to read something that was on Bleacher Report regarding Jalen Brunson. They have him ranked as the fifth best free agent available. And to be honest, you should really list him as the second best free agent available, because the first three are Zach LaVine, Bradley Beal, and James Harden, and we all anticipate them staying with their respective teams. Four would be DeAndre Ayton. We expect him to be moved. And then fifth was Jalen Brunson. So in the article, it says in the 1,400 plus minutes Brunson played without Luka, regular season and postseason combined, he averaged 24.9 minutes and 7.4 assists per 75 possessions with a 56.6 true shooting percentage. So we were able to see that even without Luka out there on the court, Jalen Brunson was able to cook. So that's pretty positive in regards to us signing Jalen Brunson and putting him in a much larger role than he had over there in Dallas.
Exactly.
Let's see what else we have going on in chat. King Josh says Cam's max is Paul George to me. I think Paul George is a good comp, something that Cam could achieve, I think, if he put the work in and was given an opportunity. We just need to see more from him out there on the court, as opposed to just talking about, the potential. So I think Paul George could be a good comp, but at this point, Cam has to go out there and perform and show us that he can be a Paul George type of guy. Me personally, right now, I'm reserving my enthusiasm for him getting to be a starting caliber wing out there, and then we can start moving into star and superstar territory.
Exactly.
Silvery Gray says, what happened to the rumored meeting Brunson was going to have with the Heat? Did the Heat cancel when Slim Reaper asked out? I'm guessing that's KD. I think there was a report that there was never really a meeting
Exactly. It was
scheduled.
BS. That it was
Yeah,
never a meeting in the first place. That it
they
was
just
just
leaked
a
that
smoke
out.
screen. Yeah.
Because to me, it didn't make much sense because the Heat have Lowry. So how are you going to try to throw your hat into the ring and talk to Jalen Brunson when you already have two other candidates that are ahead of you, and then turn back if you don't succeed and look at Kyle Lowry and say, hey, how's it going? You know, we still love you, we still want you, and we still have faith in you here. So to me, that was kind of little, that
Yeah.
kind of came out of left field.
Gabe Vincent. Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm. Let's see what else we have going on. We surveyed, said we need 3 more to get to 100. Oh, we're actually already at 100. Thank you, guys. We appreciate the support. Let's see
Thank
if we
you.
can get to 125. That's the
And let's
next
put
goal.
our
Thank you, guys.
and let's put our hippie vibes together that we hear during this broadcast that Mitch signed, because then that'll solidify everything and say, okay, man, we're definitely a playoff team. Like I said yesterday, folks, I absolutely see us in the 45 to 47 range this year. We were 37 and 45 last year. I could see us being 47 and 35 this year. So I see us, I definitely see a better team this year. And obviously injuries play a whole part, but if Cam can stay healthy and the key parts of our team, Mitch, et cetera, can stay healthy, I think we could be dangerous. And we used Memphis as a template yesterday when Keith and I were talking. And if you look at, you take away John, have the tie as Jones, that was 21-6. Hey, I think our team matches up with that team.
Yeah, definitely. So, Foxy, I want to ask you a question. We're starting to see what the plan is somewhat for the Knicks. You know, we don't see a major move in the horizon. We're hoping for a major move, but at this point, it looks like we're going with Brunson, Hartenstein, and retaining Mitch. I would ask you, do you think this is the right route that the Knicks should take, especially in a year when we're entering the 2023 draft, which is a draft that's supposed to have a lot of highly coveted players? And we don't see this team as a championship contender, and we expect this team to make the playoffs, so we won't be in the lottery. So do you think it is a mistake with the route that this team is going, or do you think we should have tried to embrace the rebuild a little bit more? Not saying go full tank mode, but try not to do these moves that might have just made us a little bit better and just got us into the playoffs and what may end up being a first round exit.
Yeah. I'm going to stick by what I said yesterday and all the work that I put in, that I absolutely would have been hot and heavy in this past draft. I would have traded Mitch, do a sign and trade with Mitch. I would have drafted Mark Williams. Like I said, the only kid in the draft, over 70% field goal percentage and over 70% from the foul line. Standing reach. Everyone's talking about Victor Wembanyama, who's going to probably be the number 1 pick next year out of France. He has a 9.7 standing reach. Mark Williams is 9.9. So I would have went with Mark Williams. I would have went with Terry Eason. I would have went with Dalen Terry. I would have went with a Jalen Williams out of Arkansas. I would have changed the complexion and say, you know what, maybe we're not going to be, but in a couple of years, we're going to be dangerous. Nobody's going to want to face a defensive-minded team like that. Plus, we would have had all our assets to go full in, like you said, for the 23 draft. But if this is the team, I think we're going to be a better team. When you look around other teams, yeah, they definitely have a little more elite and a little more athletic talent, but you saw how dangerous Memphis was last year, going against those teams. So if we, well coached, if, Tibbs and his team and everyone buys in, like they did a couple of years ago, hey, and we get somebody who can replace Bullock on that wing, and, the impact that he had on defense, and, Jalen with that IQ, and, putting people in their same thing, and, now giving the ball to Randall in a spot, not giving the ball to Randall 10 feet and letting him dribble to his spot, taking 10, 15 seconds off the clock, and then taking not the best shot possible. I think we can be a very dangerous team. Championship caliber, I don't know about that, but I think we can surprise some people. And also, like you said, another move. You don't know. You don't know. I saw some speculation about Colin Sexton which would really, really surprise me. But we'd have to get rid of D Rose and potentially even a Deuce and something like that. But I think another move is going to come. But I think it's I think it's a solid team for what we have. They didn't want to blow it up and say, hey, we're going to go, think
Full
out of the
rebuild.
box. Yeah, exactly. I think this is a really good, choice, especially bringing on a Jalen. He's a stabilizing force. And I think he's going to allow RJ, this is a real important year for RJ. I think he's going to take pressure off RJ.
I hear you on that one. You mentioned Colin Sexton. Now with Colin, you saw that in addition to Jalen Brunson, because I saw it as a potential plan B if we missed out on Brunson, and that the Mavs also were looking at Colin Sexton if they missed out on retaining Brunson's services.
Yeah, I saw both ways. I didn't know, some people were talking no different than us, saying, "Hey, let's get a Dejounte Murray besides a Jalen." Saying, "Whoa," it's the same thing that he can play off ball, Colin Sexton, and so can Jalen. But I think Colin's more. Hey, Colin Sexton is a top 20 scorer. I said it last year. Davion Mitchell came into the draft, and he was older than Colin Sexton, who already had 3 years in the league. So, and he had a meniscus injury, didn't have an ACL or a super injury. So, he's very athletic. So, I always liked Colin Sexton. I thought it was a difficult role. And like we said, he came from Alabama as a kid. He didn't learn the point guard position. And then the second year, they bring in Darius Garland and they could play tricks with a kid's head. So, I don't think we'll go for him, but, he's a very, very talented player. And if you can get value, wow, it's all about value.
Yeah, true. Especially when you're in the position that the Knicks are in right now. Jesco says 4 year, 104 mil for Brunson is really good. So it was less than the 110. We got it at 104.
There must be some incentives if they're bringing it up. And this is even better news for us, man.
Yep. I think I had mocked it as around 107. So that's about saving about $3 million from what I had. Let's see what else we got going on. Adele Chapman, he agrees with you. He says, I would have traded back in the draft and targeted Eason or
Agbaji from Kansas.
Yeah. Me off.
Yeah, no, I love Adele. Hope all is well, you and the family and with the little ones. I'm crazy about Terry Eason. I love guys that are 6'8", 7'2", that have unbelievable athleticism, is an offensive rebounding force. And like I said, he's unbelievably raw offensively, but he shot 36% from three, 80% from the foul line. He got to the foul line almost 10 times a game. He's unstoppable because of his dribble package. And if he learns to go left, I saw Kawhi there, a young Kawhi. So I loved him. And also a kid that I saw watching. I'm a Ben Mathurin freak, but I kept watching him saying, who's this kid that keeps feeding? Who made that? Dalen Terry. I think he could be the sleeper at the end of next year. Don't be surprised he's second team All NBA, rookie All NBA, Dalen Terry, man.
Okay, give me 1 second. I got lost. All right, I'm back.
And Agbaji as Adele, he was not only a national champion, a fantastic shooter, very athletic. He's an academic All-American. You hear the kid talk, you just fall in love with him. You're like, oh, that's a coach's dream. He's smart. One of the funniest stories I told, I watched the combine and you saw all these kids, at the end of one of the combine sessions, it was a close game and the guys drew up the play and the kids are just looking down and they ran the play. It was nothing what the coaches did. So when the coaches are writing that, the kids had no idea what the hell the coaches were doing. So, and these were the top kids coming into the draft. It just shows how immature they are. So when you see kids that have really high IQs, and that's why Adele, the guys that I targeted, they were in their conference all defense. Every one of them were all defense in their conference, and a couple of them were runner-ups. Mark Williams was runner-up for Defensive Player of the Year behind Walker Kessler of Auburn.
You started a nice little debate in the chat. Now we're trying to see people defending Mitch, some people taking your sides, others saying, we should move on from Mitch. Also, our guy George has entered the chat. Salute. He said, "What's up, boys? Big day for Dolan. He dodged a huge bullet with Nets implosion. That's a fact. It's crazy how many people were so gung ho trying to bring in KD and Kyrie, and when the reports were that the Knicks were skeptical on bringing in that duo because they didn't really want to deal with Kyrie, a lot of people gave them hell. And now we're seeing, it's Monday morning quarterbacking, but now we're seeing it was a good decision for us to
Great
kind of be a
decision.
little hesitant when it comes to dealing with Kyrie and all the drama that he brings to a team. He's a phenomenal basketball player. You can't, bash him for what he does on the court. But if you're looking at what he does off the court and a lot of the drama that kind of circles any franchise he's with, me personally, as a fan of a team, I'd wish we stay away from it.
Absolutely. No drama here. Hey, if you can't bring up my friend Adele Chapman, he just said the family's still growing. Baby girl was born last month. So everybody
Hello,
do me
congrats.
so everybody do me a favor, reach out to our friend Adele Chapman. Please send your congratulations to him and his family, and just let us know your little angel's name so we know. So, but congratulations, Adele, my Bronx brother. Love you, man.
Max, shout out to him. All right, so Foxy, I want to pivot a little bit and talk about Summer League. So the Summer League roster has been released. Let me see if I can put it on screen, if it allows me. And there's some few names on there. You mentioned one of them, Farron Hunt. But in addition to Farron, we've also got some regulars that we saw last season in Sims. We are seeing Quentin Grimes. He'll be with the team again as well, which to me is a major positive. We saw him working out, but he dealt with a knee injury in the second half of last year. So to see him on the Summer League roster definitely makes me feel good. Knows that he's progressing and he's good enough to play on the court. Also, you're going to see Deuce McBride. We haven't talked a lot about Deuce, and with Jalen Brunson being on the team and Derrick Rose potentially backing him up, there's really not much space for a Deuce McBride. So it'll be nice to see him out there on the court in Summer League, both for us, checking him out to see how his development is and make a better decision as to what we should do with Derrick Rose. Because if we have Deuce stepping up as a potential option as a backup point guard, we can move off from Rose and see what we can get for him, or we can use this as a showcase to maybe dangle Deuce out there for a potential deal to add some more players to this roster, maybe get another one of those 6'8", 6'9" wings. So what are you going to be looking for out there in Summer League as some of these guys on the roster?
Yeah, lots of great questions, my friend. One of them with Deuce, the question came in a little before from the chat about where do I think Cam would be in this year's draft. Folks, Deuce, and we mentioned it, Deuce would be a top 20 pick. If he stayed in West Virginia this past year, he'd be a top 20 pick, if not a top 15 pick. So what I'm excited about is, if you look back last year, Deuce was playing off guard. Ike was playing the point at Summer League that you were at, where Keith was at, taking his friendly pictures with Mitch, show off. And also my dog was barking because he started singing. So hopefully Keith will be singing at the Summer League this year. So,
right.
So my baby boy could be barking again. But getting back to the thing, I want to see Deuce at the 1. I want to see Grimes at the 2. We're going to see Keels there. So it's going to be nice to see Keels. We're going to see Sims. And you saw firsthand again up in Bridgeport that there was a lot of chemistry between Miles and Sims on lobs and stuff like that, between Deuce and Sims. So I'm looking forward to the Knicks lighting it up in Summer League with these guys.
Yeah, we'll also see some fan favorites from last year's Summer League team like MJ Walker, Amir Sims, he'll be on the team as well. Gene Montero, he's someone that we brought in on it. What was it, an Exhibit 10 contract? He's going to be playing for a potential roster spot. So there's going to be some players out there in Vegas for us to look at and try to see how they can fit on this team, especially with some of the new additions. Because now even Jericho Sims could be potentially trade bait with the fact that we're bringing in a guy like Hartenstein.
Exactly. And like I mentioned earlier, Farron Hunt, like I said, 6'8", over 7'1" wingspan, literally the second best athlete 2 years ago. Jalen Green was one, and Farron Hunt, he's unbelievable. He's explosive. So if they can harness that, he has to work on his shooting mechanics, and hopefully this offseason he did. But you never know. Sometimes, like we said, a player takes a couple of years. You can't teach the athletic talent he has. He's an above the rim guy, and especially on defense, he's if you watch his thing at SMU and stuff, he was a difficult guy from the perimeter getting his shot off. So if we could have a guy come off the bench, another 6'8" guy, the guard, that's a troublesome type of guy that has great athleticism, great length. So I'm looking forward to seeing that. Like you said, Gene Montero from Dominican Republic, he played for overtime this past year, and he didn't shoot well and everything, but he does have a feel for the game. He's a little guy, but he has a lot of flair, and I'm sure he's going to make some passes in the summer league where people are going to say, "I love this guy, Gene Montero, man."
Yeah, I'm excited to see. I'm trying to make my way out there for the first 3 games so I can do a little in-person scouting and let you guys know what I'm seeing. So look forward for that.
We look forward to that too. And we look forward to your pictures with the guys. I still love the picture with you
hopefully,
and Mitch.
Hopefully I'll bump into them.
Yeah, but take your neck collar off this year.
I ain't go front. I was hyped. I saw Mitch. I said, "What's up?" We was chopping it up. My girl said, "Take a picture." I said, "All right." Whoop. The neck pillow was still on.
Oh, that was adorable.
You learn. Maybe next time. At least we didn't have the mask on.
And make sure you have your cards this year to hand out your cards this year.
Definitely. So you can't get one of them to sit down and have a conversation with us.
Absolutely.
What else we have going on in chat? Hamish is saying, tell us something about Garrison Brooks. Are you familiar? I'm not going front. I'm not too familiar with Garrison Brooks either.
Garrison Brooks.
He's the center, number 35. I'd have to look into it.
Yeah, if my memory serves me right, I went through them all. They shot from 3 terrible, meaning so they're not stretch guys, so they're really bad shooters. So him, Edwards, I went through them. Dijon, a few of them. They just, Mika Potter, etc. They just can't shoot. So I think they're just filling out a roster here. One of the guys, Deshaun Schwartz, may be a little interesting, but again, I like a little more. I think he's 6'7", but with a 6'8" wingspan, so it's not much of a wingspan. Amr Simmons last year, he has a phenomenal IQ. It's just he's just slow. He just doesn't have the foot speed, but he has great instincts and he can shoot threes. He has a nice stroke. I remember from North Carolina State.
Yeah, he was with the G League when I was down there watching.
Or Clemson. Yeah. Same conference, just got the thing.
Jesco says, "Isn't KD supposed to leave?" Yeah, KD's out of there. I'm interested in seeing where he goes and what it's going to cost.
And the rumor mill is people don't think we'll ever see Kyrie play again for the Nets, even though he opted in, that he'll be on the move too.
Yeah. Especially, what's the point if you don't have KD there? You might as well just hit the full reset button.
Yeah, and especially if you bring in new things, as we saw with Boston and everything, get him out of there, man.
Yeah, I mean, the only reason KD is there is because of Kyrie. So if you move off of KD and you're not fond of Kyrie as an organization, it only makes sense to just have a clean break.
Absolutely.
Let's see. Silvery Gray says modern offenses have infantilized the center position.
Yeah,
I mean, I can see where you're coming from, but if you look at some of the centers now, I think we have some of the most skilled, not necessarily in the post, but outside of the post, we have very skilled centers out there. And you're seeing, the ones that do excel are going to be like the Embiids and the Jokics, who still have that ability to cook in the post. But I think if you look at some of the other big men out there, they're still able to contribute. It's just, you look at some of these centers and you don't see them being as versatile as you would have liked, like a Jokic or an Embiid. That's the only thing I see right now with a lot of the centers in the league. What about you, Foxy? What do you think?
Well, I think I think he makes a great point. And I think the perfect example is Ayton. You look at him and you're like, how could the Suns let him go? But they're like I think they're saying to themselves, it's not valued. It's a wing league. We saw, like we talked yesterday, whether Kevon Looney, a lot of teams, they don't have a traditional 5 anymore. They have a smart guy who can pass and hit threes and play tough defense. So, who would ever think that the Suns would give up on an Ayton? You're liking like that. That's going to be part of a franchise, but like, nah, we don't want to give that dude that type of money, man. We want to save that money for our guard and wing positions. And I think that's the way the NBA is today and going forward.
Yeah. I mean, look at the Brunson deal. Brunson might end up making more than Ayton.
Word.
I want to see where that contract falls. Is somebody going to give him the bag, or is he going to get a deal like in the Vucevic range? Because I think Vucevic makes around 25 mil.
Yeah, well, some of the rumor mill is that the whole reason KD announced what he did is because he wants to go to Phoenix, and by doing that, if Phoenix does a sign and trade and Ayton comes to the Nets,
Mm-hmm.
so that would be a real a quality player. You can't give up KD for mid level players. You got to get something in return. So Ayton is a top notch player. So that was one of the reasons or rumors that why he said it early. So if he can get the Phoenix, they could do a sign and trade with him to come over to the Nets.
Yeah, I think that's probably what's going to end up happening too. I think the Suns have the pieces. They've got some young players. Who are they going to include alongside Ayton? Because I don't think Ayton alone does it.
Yeah.
Ayton. They might have to include maybe Cam Johnson. Does Bridges get
Oh,
included in that type
absolutely,
of
Cam.
deal?
But he's also, because it's funny you said that. I think his 20 million clicks in. He signed the contract, but he
Extension?
first, yeah. So that extension first kicks in. So he may be on the go too. But then we're saying to ourselves, here comes another team that putting together a good three, but now they're going to have all second string guys surrounding him. So they're going to have to get rid of their surrounding cast, like you said, the Cam Johnsons, the Mikal Bridges, etc. And that's a dangerous thing to play with teams, man.
Mm-hmm.
We saw it a couple of years ago work for the Lakers, but you didn't see it after that. It worked for the bubble, but not after that. You can't, just have three elite players and then 12, just mediocre players. It comes back to haunt you.
Facts. Also, we have a super chat from We Surveyed 100 people. He's giving a shout out to the 718 area code. Salute to the Bronx. He says, will Tibbs hold Randall more accountable this year with the Brunson family there? That's an interesting dynamic because, Rick Brunson and Tibbs, they do have history. But if Brunson isn't too fond of when I say Brunson, I mean Rick, if he's not too fond of how they're utilizing his son Jalen, there might be some friction there with that coaching staff. Of course, Tibbs will still be Rick Brunson's boss, but still, you don't want that type of internal turmoil, especially with the coaching staff. That's why there's issues when you start hiring players, family members, and giving them positions on the team. So that's something you have to look at. Will Tibbs actually hold him more accountable? I think now there's more forces in place that might force him to hold Randall a little bit more accountable, because we can't see Randall play the way he did last year this upcoming season. Because if we do see that, then Tibbs is definitely going to get fired. And in the front office, they might go as well. So if they're going to hitch their wagon to this nucleus, I think they're going to put some pressure on Julius Randle to get his stuff together.
I think you nailed it. If he doesn't hold him accountable, we have a much greater chance of seeing Johnny Bryant as our coach this year. If he does hold him accountable, then Tibbs will be there a lot longer. You got to get that hook out. And I think he really has to have a sit down behind closed doors and say, hey, you're a 2010-5 guy. You're an elite player. It's the other elements of your game. We want you to play the right way. And like you and I talked about endlessly, literally taking play after play, or like you said, more poetically, quarter after quarter off on defense. You can't do that shit. And I just want to let you know, you do that, Obi will be playing the 35 minutes and you're going to be playing, the 13 minutes. Don't play with me this year.
Yep, that's all we hope. Hold these players accountable, regardless of what their contract or stature is or status is on this team. Let's see what else we got going on. Salute to Mtos Vids. He's saying salute to Keith and Foxy. Appreciate you tuning in.
Salute.
All right, so we ended up getting to 112 likes. I appreciate all you guys for tuning in, helping us get to that threshold. We got 85 in chat. We'll wrap it up here. Hopefully, nothing else major happens. If anything does, maybe we'll shoot an edited video, come back and chop it up with you guys later. Foxy, anything you want to add before we wrap it up?
Just like we said, we're in the home stretch, folks, of getting to that 6,000 milestone on subscribers. So if you have subscribed, thanks so much. Please tell a friend. If you haven't, please hit that subscribe. We promise you, we work real hard behind the scenes to bring you, the best Knicks news and rumors and analysis that we can.
Also, before we go, Bodega Wi-Fi with a nice little gem. He's saying Hartenstein has an elite 18.5% assist rate that ranks in the 92nd percentile amongst all bigs this season. Since the All-Star break, that has soared up to 24.3%. So yeah, Hartenstein is a gifted passer out there for a big, and it'll allow us to be very creative offensively. So we'll see what Tibbs draws up. We'll see what guys like Johnny Bryant does with this team and with the new pieces we're able to bring in.
Yeah, Bodega, as always, hope all is well with you and the family. That's a killer. Thank you so much for contributing that. That's just adding to everything that we just said. So we had one thing talked about is elite rim protection. Now you're showing elite from an assist perspective and all the other attributes of him being mobile and be able to hit a stretch five. Hey, and his age, which is right in the timeline of all of our young team, the core of this team. Hey, and at $8 million, it's looking more and more like a fantastic signing.
And Jesco says we got German Jokic for 8 mil a year. I love it. Also, he's Jokic with a little bit better rim protection because, as you mentioned earlier, Foxy, there's some stats saying that Hartenstein can be a pretty good option as a rim defender, or
Yep,
the rim protector.
for sure.
All right, so thank you guys once again. We appreciate all the support. If any other news drops, we'll make sure we'll edit a video and send it out. So thank you guys for tuning in. We appreciate all you guys doing support of the channel. Make sure you tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend. Thank you guys once again. Keith, that's my co-host Stephen Fox, and we are out.
Love you.